Today we're going to make that old Italian classic lasagna, and it's going to be even better than my old Irish mother used to make. As usual, in all the You Can Make It series, I'm starting off with a liberal dose of internally applied wine, and we got to start getting ready to make lasagna. So the first thing you're going to do is set your oven to 350 degrees. Okay, these are the ingredients you're going to need. You're going to need 2/3 of a pound of ground beef, which I don't have out here because it's in the fridge staying safe. We have ricotta cheese. We have oven-ready lasagna noodles. You can also cook fresh noodles. We got a jar of marinara sauce with no meat in it. We've got 4 cheese Italian. You can also use mozzarella cheese and a little bit of fresh grated Parmesan, already grated up right from the store, so I don't have to do the work. Of course, you can grate mozzarella if you like yourself. The Parmesan just gives it a bit better flavor. And the absolute necessary ingredient, some wine. Okay. We're now going to start off the lasagna by making the sauce. Remember, in the You Can Make It series, we go with laziness. So I've got about 2/3 of a pound of ground beef, and I'm just going to break it up and throw it in a preheated frying pan. Just schmuck it all up. Try not to throw it all over the counter like I did there. There we go. And just break it up, and then keep cooking it and turning it until it's brown. Okay, so this is what the meat looks like when it's brown. Because I used lean ground beef, there's not a lot of fat in there, and I don't have to drain it off. If you used regular ground beef, you'd want to drain the excess fat off. Going with laziness, we're using jarred tomato sauce. Get any marinara sauce you like that doesn't have any meat in it. Get about a 700 milliliter jar. Open it up. You got to remember that laziness being the feature, using the pre-jarred tomato sauce, it doesn't need to be cooked. It's already cooked. So you just open it up and pour it into the fry pan with the fry pan turned off to mix it up with the beef. And then you have meat sauce for your lasagna. Nothing could be easier. Now, I've chosen to use oven-ready noodles, which means you don't have to cook them in advance, but if you do that, you got to have extra water in your sauce or the noodles won't cook right. So if you're cooking noodles from scratch, don't add any water. If you're using the oven ready, put in about 3/4 of a cup of water and add it to your sauce because you need to cook the noodles. I just cut up David Farrell's secret lasagna recipe ingredient. If you really want to smarten it up, chop up about 1/4 of a cup of pepperoni or 1/4 of a cup of Capicola Italian spiced ham. The whole secret to making lasagna is building it. So we've made our sauce up, and you put half the sauce in the bottom of your lasagna pan. The next layer, after half your sauce has been put in, is to put in about 2 cups of grated cheese. Like I said, you can use mozzarella or Italian blend. I like to buy it pre-grated because I'm but lazy. There you go. I've just finished putting in about 2 cups of the cheese, and the next thing that goes on is the oven-ready pasta noodles. You just want to get 1 layer of noodles all over the top of it. So you just lay those dry noodles in a single layer. Don't worry about being fancy or anything, you just need a layer. And you might have to break it like that. And you can overlap a bit on a layer if you want. Just tuck it up like that. There you go. Now you're ready to do the next layer. Okay, so I've got the noodles in. The next layer for the center is ricotta cheese. You just want to get a layer of about 1/4 of an inch thick of ricotta cheese sprinkled over it. It's actually easier to do with your fingers. So just schmuck in about a little over a cup of ricotta cheese. Okay, the ricotta is spread out, about a cup of it's just sprinkled over the pasta. And now it's time for the famous David's lasagna recipe secret, which is sprinkling a little bit of chopped up pepperoni in there. You don't have to do this. If you don't want it, just leave it out. It's not the standard recipe, but I find it just smarten things up a bit. What you need to know about ricotta cheese is all it really is Italian cottage cheese. So if you can't find ricotta, you can use cottage cheese, but ricotta does give you a better texture. Just look for it in your supermarket. And the next layer, of course, is another layer of pasta, your final layer of pasta. And like I said, don't be too fancy. I like to move it down so it overlaps what it did before. But there you go, your last pasta layer. And now we do our final few layers, which starts with the remainder of the sauce. So just put the other half of the sauce in. Next layer is 2 cups of grated Italiano or mozzarella cheese. And just spread that around in a nice good thick layer all over it. So now you could just leave it and put it in the oven now, and that's the standard recipe. But I find you get better color on top of your lasagna if you sprinkle it with some pre-grated Parmesan. This isn't that powdered stuff that comes in the round bottles. I call that stuff sand. Actually get some real grated Parmesan. You can grate it yourself, but again, remember Bill and Dave, and you can make it is butt lazy. Okay, just a word on the noodles. You can choose to take fresh pasta noodles instead of those oven-ready ones I used and cook them in boiling water per the package instructions. It tells you how to do it right on the back. You cook it for the same length of time in the oven. The only difference is you don't add the water that we did in the sauce stage. If you're using the oven ready, they cook exactly the same, except you have to add the extra 3/4 of a cup to the sauce when you mix it up. It's important with your lasagna to start off with it covered. So just put a bit of foil over the top of it. So it doesn't have to be tight, just get it on there. And open your oven. It has been preheated to 350 degrees. Slide it on in, and now you're going to wait 45 minutes. We, as an additional side dish with our lasagna, we've gone really lazy and bought pre-foiled garlic bread. We've cut just enough off for tonight, and we're going to throw it in the oven with the last 10 minutes to go before the 45 minutes is up.
So we've consumed a bottle of wine, and is that smart while you're cooking?
Actually, it's not really that bright. You want to do at least 1.5 bottles to 2 bottles to get a good effect. We're a little dry at the moment, but we'll make up for that later. We've had the 10 minutes for the lasagna cheese to sort of set up and brown a bit, and we've ended up with a perfectly formed, gorgeous lasagna, which we'll put on our trivet to protect our counter, and we'll pull out our garlic bread, which is ready when the lasagna is ready. We've just got to cut it up, feed our faces, and we're done.
That's a good looking lasagna.
There's no such thing as a bad looking lasagna, just some are better than others. Bad news is we're coming to the end of another You Can Make It episode. Bill and I are going to have a wonderful meal of lasagna, some fine Chianti, and some garlic bread. Cheers. Slante.